Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Matthew here. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm by far the most excited about a video that I have ever been. Now, I did a quick intro video before I came and picked you up yesterday and explained just how nervous I was because I mentioned this once before. This guy's become a personal hero of mine within a matter of weeks. And the fact that you flew all the way out here from Virginia is a real honor. And we've already had a blast together.
What's up, bro? Man, good to see you, dude. Welcome to town, bro. Sure, man. Bricks what the top of the world looks like.
Nature, man. Like if you look at all the problems in life, if you just go back to nature,
That's so true.
there's so many answers.
Bricks, otherwise known as Robert Glover, is the big winner of the grand prize. Active in our Instagram, on my Instagram, and I basically threw it out there for you guys since last spring that we were going to have somebody come and join me for a couple days here in Denver, have a blast jeeping around the mountains and just getting to know each other. And I got to tell you, we made the right choice, that's for sure. And I want to start there with this interview because Robert is somebody that had a lot of disadvantages that were working against him even as recently as within the last 5 years. And he has shared with a large community now his transformation story and has inspired people from all over the globe, and I'm one of them. And the moment he reached out and I found out a little bit more about him, I couldn't stop digging, and I was watching video after video, really emotional stuff. I mean, I saw bits and pieces of my own life in what he's been through. I saw bits and pieces of people I love's life in what he's been through, and man, it just touched me. And I think it's going to touch a lot of you guys, where if we can get this story out while we're also working to transform his next chapter and the next big up-leveling that he's going to be going through here financially, I think it'll change some lives here on our channel, and I can't wait for you guys to hear more about it. So without further ado, guys, please welcome Robert Glover. I really appreciate you.
Cool.
So why don't you share a little bit about who you are and what you're up to these days?
So my name is Robert Glover, but I go by Bricks. It was a childhood nickname. About 5 years ago, I woke up and I made a decision to take control of my life. And I was scouring my head like, okay, where's the best place to invest the time and energy? What area of my life that will cause a domino effect and pretty much fix my entire life, right? So I started by taking care of my health and attacking my weight issue.
It was year 2007. My daughter was just born, and as you can see, I was obese. I was unhappy. I had high blood pressure, borderline diabetic, and I was getting ready to embark on yet another failed weight loss mission. And over the next 7 years, I would probably go on about 20 of these missions where I would crash and burn at the end and end up gaining back every ounce that I lost. It was a vicious cycle that went on for way too long. I didn't feel good about myself. My self-esteem was shot. It was ruining my relationships. It was ruining my life. I had just gotten a divorce, and I was having thoughts of suicide. I had just recently gotten in some trouble and had my whole life turned upside down, and I had to do something to take control. So I decided to transform my body. From that day forward, I was a man on a mission. I ate, slept, dreamed, exercise, and nutrition. I engulfed my entire life in this mission of transforming my body. And in the process, I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about life. I was relentless.
Dad, can we see you?
See what?
How many pounds you are? Oh, big feet.
For the first time in my life, I found something that I was actually good at. Something that made me feel good. I literally read every piece of fitness and nutrition literature that I can get my hands on. I probably spent thousands of hours just researching and trying different exercise routines and trying different diet plans and figuring out what works best for me. Within the first 9 months, I probably lost about 80 or 90 pounds. And I felt like a new man. It's indescribable. I had changed my relationship with food. Exercise was my new oxygen. I became addicted to watching my body change. And I also became addicted to this feeling of control, this new feeling of control that I had over my life, over my body, over my emotions, over my thoughts. God was assigning a task to my life. And fitness was the way he was communicating this mission to me. It felt so spiritual. And though it was happening in the gym, it felt so much bigger than just my personal fitness transformation. This is more than just about me and my body. This is about something much bigger than me. My journey in fitness took me on some really crazy paths. But one thing about it, no matter what the obstacle in front of me, I never gave up. I was relentless. Even when the discipline ran out, I was relentless. Even when I didn't want to do it, I was relentless. Even when I messed up and I gained weight, there was times I gained 20, 30, 40 pounds back, but I never gave up. I was relentless. And as a result, I was able to achieve things with my body that I didn't even think were possible. Things that were unimaginable. Like, who would have thought that me, the obese 360-pound kid, would have a six-pack? Who would have ever thought that an obese 360-pound kid would be on stage competing in a physique competition with dudes that have been in shape all their lives? Nothing's impossible. I'm possible. And if I could do it, anybody can do it.
The transformation that happened physically kind of led into a mental and spiritual transformation. And now I'm ready for the next chapter, which is my financial transformation.
And then that's obviously how you discovered us.
Yeah.
Big YouTube connoisseur.
Yeah.
And big YouTuber. And guys, just so you're aware, we'll put a link in the description back to his channel. Crushing it. I mean, quad-digit growth each day in his sub count, somewhere close to 350,000 subs, somewhere in that neighborhood. Yep. Crushing it on IG. Got triple digit or close to it between multiple accounts.
Almost.
And him and his wife, power couple, and she's out there teaching people how to better themselves and their health, and they're really taking people along on a very transparent and vulnerable journey.
Yeah.
Right? So what ultimately gave you the confidence to start? Because I've always been taught that confidence is a byproduct of competence, right? So you had to actually learn what you were doing, but you're also back at that point struggling financially. So it's not as though you could go out and hire a mentor, right? Somebody that could show you the way. You had to figure it out, or a lot of it on your own. Was that just a lot of internet, a lot of studying, a lot of
and this may
strategizing?
sound cheesy, but the introduction to the law of attraction is what really got the wheels turning in my head. I think it was the secret. It planted a seed in me that it just started making me see the world differently.
Okay.
And that's...
Who turned you onto it?
I think I was just scrolling through Netflix, or I don't remember honestly how I learned about The Secret, but that was the tipping point for me. That's what initiated this awareness that I needed to do something and change the way I thought, change the way I lived.
We had a great meetup actually yesterday. I was able to be a fly on the wall and join Robert with some of his community. And this guy is changing some serious lives. And I was even telling Mike that there was a guy there that was talking about having lost 95 pounds since January because of Robert. And so he's really achieved a lot of what we need to do well together within his finances. And it was so interesting listening to him talking about the requirements that his audience needs to succeed, and it boiled down to nothing more than consistency.
Yep.
You know, and it could not have mirrored what I talk about so often here on the channel any better. And so it was such a breath of fresh air, because as I'm sitting there listening to him talking about what's necessary to achieve this physically, he's made up of that. And that's why I'm so adamant about trying to encourage you guys to figure out what reasons are more important to you than your excuses. We have to get to the root of why, right? Yep. So tell me a little bit about how you fight through some of those times where you're not motivated anymore, right? Because motivation comes and goes. We all agree on that.
Yeah.
It's one of those things I think everybody's waiting for. Yeah. And then it's there and you're excited for days or weeks, or if you're lucky, months or years. But for the most part, a lot of the days you get out of bed are going to be challenging. You're like, I don't feel like doing this.
Yeah.
So how'd you fight through?
I'm so obsessed with my vision. Right. So in the beginning, I formed a vision for my body. So the combination of my obsession with the vision for my life now, and in the beginning it was for my body, and just the understanding of process, just understanding how process works when it comes to anything, when it comes to weight loss, when it comes to building a business, when it comes to getting control of my finances. I understood, and I do still, obviously, that it's going to be days where I'm not going to want to do it. There's going to be days where I'm not going to be motivated. And just starting the journey with that awareness, and like I said, combine that with my obsession about seeing my vision come to fruition, that's what gets me through the low times. That's what gets me. And now I've gotten so much better at it, because I used to beat myself up when I had those moments, or whenever I veered off the course a little bit. And so now I no longer do that.
It seemed like that yesterday when I was listening to you offering suggestions to your community, that it was about accepting that sometimes we're not going to get it always, right? And that we have to forgive ourselves, and then be ready to not let that cause us to derail.
Yeah.
But instead maintain the awareness, and then hit the switch again and start the next day.
Yep,
right?
that's it.
And it's just a sequence of starting and restarting and being persistent about that. That's really, more than anything, the consistency behind it, isn't it? I mean, the consistency is just restarting every chance you can.
And you got to let time do its thing. Like, I tell people, like, if you just win a little bit more often than you quote unquote lose, and you keep going, you'll eventually get to where you're trying to go. You know?
So patience is key, folks, right? I mean, if this doesn't sound familiar to you, you're not watching enough of my videos. I love it. And that is why I was so excited when I started to dig into Brix's background, because I knew that this was going to be a good fit and we're going to achieve some incredible things together. He has all the ingredients in place. And so I think by bringing you guys along on this experience, and his willingness to be completely open and transparent with us and share some of these really kind of, I don't know, man. I mean, when I open up about things, it's, I don't like talking about stupid decisions because I feel so vulnerable and embarrassed even. Sometimes I'm like, God, why would I do that, right? And so I talked a lot about cryptocurrencies on this channel over the last year. I lost $45,000 in the last 6 months in cryptocurrencies. Now, would I ever advise somebody to do that? Of course not, because it has to be such a small amount in the grand scheme that it won't affect things. But at the same time, I'm not proud of it, just like if you were, I like McDonald's. I'm not going to, that's also embarrassing. But if you just went to McDonald's and ate, plowed a Big Mac, which I also happen to love, that's one of those things that I think you could feel real guilty about, but
you should,
right.
It's counterproductive to feel guilty about it.
And that's a great lesson for the finances side too, because we're going to do things impulsively that in retrospect we probably could have rethought.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, good. Well, we're going to continue to learn a lot about Robert and his reasons for being where he is now with his finances. And we're going to go through that as we start to dig in. And I've already got somewhat of a game plan in mind for him. We're going to turn him into a 7-figure earner. in 2019.
Yes, sir.
And in addition to that, guys, just keep in mind that we're going to learn a lot more about where he was starting out. And that includes the 2 years ago, just 2 short years ago, him and his amazing superstar wife, Cammie, were struggling financially to the tune of about a $50, chunk of change in hand, right? And they tell us that 80% of people right now can't scratch together $1,000. And, a lot of us have been in that position before. If we weren't relying on debt, we wouldn't have any money at all. Yeah. And so to go from $50 in hand a couple years ago to realistically deciding and discovering ways to get into a 7-figure earning position by next year. If that doesn't show you guys what you're capable of, because we are just average dudes that have had disadvantages, if we can do this kind of stuff, then you can too. And we take that responsibility to show you that and demonstrate it super, super seriously together. And so thank you guys for coming along, and thank you too, man. We're gonna have a great, This is
the beginning of something great, man.
This is a lifetime. You're not going to want to miss the rest of this series. This is going to be the biggest of our entire career, and I can't wait to make it the biggest of his as well. And he's already killing it, but we're going to take it to a whole nother level, guys, and it's going to start with the cash flow cruncher. Going to start with the credit report. We're bringing you guys in on all of it. Bricks has been generous enough to welcome you guys into seeing his money. This is a very, very sensitive thing for a lot of people to do. Very vulnerable. It's not comfortable. And again, if he's willing to go this far, then you guys can at least take the next step for yourself. So we can't wait to see you guys through this process together. Thanks so much for being here today, guys. We'll see you on the next video.